Hello YouTube, RJ. Hey, we're back on the bench, continuing on pimping out my 53131A HP frequency counter. And we're going to pick up today, we're going to install this 3 gig option kit, this aftermarket kit. And then we'll go ahead and put it back together, put the new bumpers and handles on, and finish this thing up, bring it into to a final, and take a look at it and see what we think. Okay, so first thing we need to do, it appears, is move this over a little, is go ahead and get these screws out of these spacers. Plug the cable in. We've got to put this through. Might go ahead and slide these over here and go ahead and do that. Let's see if we can get this connector in, bulkhead connector through the front. It's a little snug. There. A little snug, but it went through. And let's give it just a little snug. Like that. So we got that in. Step one, let's go ahead and put the spacers on this board and see if we can get it in there. This plug's got to go in like that. So we're going to go ahead and install our spacers. All this board is, while I'm doing this, they're nothing more than an amplifier or a set of amplifiers, low noise amplifiers, into a divider chip. And so it takes the signal in and amplifies it up, and then feeds it into a dividing chip set for like 64 or 128 or whatever it is. And so your pulses coming in from your source, frequency source, gets divided down by a certain amount of count, which then feeds into your 225 megahertz counter. That brings it down under 225, and then in the firmware, the processor knows when it's reading this how many times it's been counted, so it just does a multiplication. So it's a very simple operation. It's not complicated in any way. It's straightforward. You do lose some resolution, obviously. You don't have quite the resolution you do at the lower frequencies, but you know, it's with this counter having the resolution it has, you can give up a little and still have a really good setup. Now here's what I don't understand. How is this supposed to go in here? Because this connector here is higher than the screw in point for this. So I'm kind of lost here. I'm not exactly sure how that's supposed to work. There's no way to bolt this in. The connectors are in the way. These would either need to be much shorter. I'm not real happy with this kit. I didn't tell you this yet, but this is not the cable they sent with it. This is the cable I expected. Let me show you what they sent. They sent this. And the way they showed it, they wanted you to drill a hole in this and stick this through. That was their idea of the right cable, which is hilarious because this cable costs just as much as this cable, which I put an order and got this cable, which is BNC. Now the stock kits are they're N type here, but I didn't want N type. I don't really deal with N type much, and I'm not going to be pushing into gigahertz. I may do above 225 megahertz, but I'm not going to be pushing into the gigahertz typically. I don't really work with stuff at that high frequency. So BNC was much more convenient for me. So that's the way I went. But they didn't even send the right cable with it. And now it looks like the adapters they've sent, the spacers, there is no way they work. I'm not sure how they intended this to function. They need to be much shorter. So this is not going to work. So I've got to come up with a solution. So let me stop and see what I've got, see what I can come up with. And worst case scenario, I will cut these if I have to. It looks like they're threaded all the way through. If I cut them and I can get the threads cleaned up, I can still use that. Not going to be a good review for him, but let me see what I can come up with. Maybe I've got something that'll work. So be right back. Okay, and to root around a little, come up with some solutions and do a little work. I had this little kit of standoffs that have these shorter ones, but they've got threads on them. And I can't put them through this way into the unit because this would stick out and the case wouldn't slide on. So the idea I had was to take one of them and put it through the board and put a nut on. Of course, this stuck way out, as you can imagine. This was sticking out like this. So that wouldn't work. So I put a nut on and I put a nut on and then ground off the threaded part that was left. Well, the nut was still too thick. So I started grinding this nut thinner and thinner till I got enough room to have some space. So it's not beautiful, it's not optimum, but it'll work. As you can see here now, with those spacers and that nut ground, I can get that past that cable with just a little, see if I can get it where you can see good. Just a little clearance between the cable. Enough that there's no problem getting it in there. So that'll work. And then what I can do is all of these, I don't mind if these are sticking out a little bit. Doesn't matter a bit. So we'll go ahead and get nuts on those. Now we should be able to use these little flat-headed screws that came with the kit to put it in and not have to worry about the case not sliding on because stuff's sticking out too much. Plug her in. Get my spacer lined up here. And so, get another screw in over here diagonally. Don't tighten anything. Never tighten your stuff till you got it all started and snugged up. Snug them up. Okay, that's in. Now it's just a matter of hooking up this little joy. Okay, that should be it. Everything looking okay. I'm not rubbing on my cable down here. Everything is good there. So that was pretty, other than having to modify the nut and such. You can see what I did here a little better maybe. Get a good shot down in there. So that should be her. Now my question is, let's go ahead and hook this thing up to power. Grab the power cable. Let's see if it detects the third channel. So let's power her up. So dump our 10 meg GPS DO signal in. Now, she's cold now, so she's going to be off quite a bit, but you see how much it's warming up. But my question will be, if I go to frequency 1, 2, hey, I got 3 now. So that tells me I've got the third option. Now, the only thing is you need 100 meg to read on that channel. So what I need to do to test and see if this third channel is working is let me grab a little antenna. I don't have my signal generators can't put out but 60 megahertz. I don't think this thing starts till 100 megahertz if I remember right. Isn't that what it is? Yeah, 100 megahertz, 3 gigahertz. So let me do this. Let me grab an antenna. I'll come right back. We'll put an antenna on this thing and see if we can pick up from my handheld. Okay, I've got my handheld and I've got I got an antenna on here to try this out. And I've got it tuned to 445 megahertz. And so we're going to give it a little try here. 44500.1. I couldn't ask for it to be any more accurate than that. I mean, that's dead on the money. Very, very happy with that. So it works fantastic. Can't ask for any better than that. Okay, let me get these antennas put away and we will put this thing together and finish it up. All right, I'm back. It's time to assemble this thing. Time to get the case back on. Time to put the new bumpers and handles on. And this thing will be done. I will be happy. I will have a meter, the meter I want, at a price that I'm happy with. Goes on like this. Now, we have bumpers to put on. Looks like this goes on this way. And last but not least, we've got a handle to get on. And there we are. What you think? I'm really happy. This thing looks good. I mean, this looks like something I've owned for a long time and took care of. Didn't it? I think we've got a really, really nice meter now. 3 channels. We can read up to 3 gigahertz. Extremely accurate. I just plugged it in. It's just starting to warm up. It's going to have to go a while, but give it a week or so to burn in a little more. I'll do a calibration, and what we'll do is we'll set up and do the whole calibration, every step of the calibration on a video, just about calibrating one of these 53 131s or 132s. We'll go through the complete calibration, everything, the gain and everything. So that'll be coming up in the next couple weeks. So anyway, hey, thank you for hanging with me through this project. It was quite a bit to do, but I think, as you can see, I ended up with a really, really nice 53 131A. This thing almost looks new. I mean, it really looks good, and couldn't be happier. And all up, I have a little under $400 in it. Not bad. Go try to find one this nice with these options. Again, thanks for hanging out with me on this long process to get this meter and pimp it out to where it is. If you will, subscribe. Definitely hit the like button if you like a video, because I really need all the likes I can get to grow the channel. But most of all, I hope to see you in the next video.